Video too, and this is the meat and potatoes, y'all. And I don't normally tell people what to do because I don't like being told what to do. However, I would encourage you to get some type of a note-taking device, whether it's a pen and paper or your phone. As I go through the 7 levels of energy, I encourage you to really think about, even pause the video if you want, how this shows up for you. The thoughts that pop into your head, the feelings and emotions you physically experience when one of these levels is your dominant level of experience. And perhaps some of the words or phrasings, I'll go through a little bit of that today, but this is what's going to allow you to really identify, not just with the energy level that you're experiencing, but with the energy levels that others are experiencing. This gives you some ninja level negotiating skills, leadership skills, and problem solving skills. We'll get into that in the next videos, how you can literally use these levels to almost create psychic interactions and results with the people and the challenges within which you're working. So another hot tip here, I'm giving it all away. So obviously I wear glasses. I think about these levels as the lenses through which I'm viewing the world, and they will literally change the way that I see, the way that I experience, the way that I communicate, the opportunities, the problems, and the energy that I am feeling. So I encourage people when they're first starting with this way of seeing the world to think about a character, to think about a particular archetype, to think about a book or a movie. There are ways that you'll be able to really anchor in this understanding so that you can think like, oh, that's Hamlet. That was a cheesy example. Or, I always think about that Disney movie. I think it's Upside Down. It might be Pixar. Anywho, where there's all these different voices in the little girl's head, and each one of them, there's the angry voice, there's the sad voice, there's the crazy creative voice. So that's what these energy levels can really start to show up as for you, as a character, as an archetype, as a narrative or a feeling or a role. Again, and I say this a lot, we'll get into that in the next videos, how you can externalize this energy, because you are not your experience, you are not your feelings, you are definitely not your thoughts. Fake news. And energy is truly what is driving everything that we are creating. This is why when you are checking off all of those boxes, ticking off the boxes on your to-do list, you might not be getting the results that you want. When you show up to the gym to get it done and you're listening to podcasts, answering all of your emails, you're on the stair climber, you hit 30 minutes, you go do a couple squats and you bail, you're probably not going to get even close to the same results visibly, physically, emotionally, spiritually that you will if you go to that gym for half the time. Maybe it's 15 minutes. You get on the treadmill for 5 minutes and you are concentrating on moving that body and getting your heart rate up. And then you shift to your workout and you're doing those squats, and that is all you're thinking about is the glutes and making them juicy good. You achieve things that you couldn't have possibly imagined when you're focused, when you're present, and when you've selected the energy that is going to be the most effective. So with that, let's get into these 7 levels of energy. Before I go any further, I must give credit where credit's due. The 7 levels of energy is a framework that was developed by Bruce D. Schneider, who is the founder and retired CEO of IPEC Coaching. I got my certification there, and I became an Energy Leadership Index Master Practitioner there as well. So thank you, Bruce, for this revolutionary way of framing our experience. So I know I've talked a lot about 7 levels, but let's make it as simple as possible. There are 2 types of energy. There's catabolic energy, and you can remember this as in cannibalistic, catabolic. It is destructive. It eats itself. It feeds on itself. It is draining. It is compounding. It is spiralic. It's like the snowball rolling down the hill, right? It just gets bigger and bigger and faster, and it gets pretty out of control very quickly. It is also the energy that we experience in our physical body, like cortisol or adrenaline. It is the stress response. Your heart starts beating faster, your mouth gets like dry. I mean, we're all going to experience it a little differently. Like your palms might get sweaty, your brow might furrow, you might start breathing lighter in your chest. But ultimately, cortisol and adrenaline are destructive chemicals in our body. They actually eat away at our cells. So when we say that your stress is killing you, we mean that literally. This is why this is such a powerful framework. It can actually save your life. So the second type of energy is anabolic energy. You can think of this like aerobic exercise. This is expansive. This is connecting. This is constructive as opposed to destructive, right? So this is building and healing energy. The physical response in our body is hormones like testosterone or chemicals like dopamine. When we are in tune with our physical bodies, we can actually train ourselves to experience this energy in a way that motivates us, that pushes us forward, but in a healthy and connected way. Dopamine is not just the reward hormone, and Andrew Huberman talks a lot about this in his own performance-based podcast. These are peer-reviewed scientific studies. Dopamine is the chemical that is released when you're actually challenging yourself. Now, when you get to the reward stage, when you get to the accomplishment stage, that's when you can feel that rush that dopamine exhibits in your body. It's that high, that happiness, that joy, that bliss. That is the way that your body says, yes, we did it. We're doing the dang thing. But I think that, we started like joking around and calling it hopamine. The misunderstanding there is that dopamine is the reward chemical. It's actually not, it's the challenge chemical. And when you can tune yourself into that, I like to think of it almost like frequencies or wavelengths, and you can feel that effect in your body. So many of us are stuck up here. When you can bring it into your body and feel like your heart racing. I described that in catabolic energy. We're going to circle back to that. But you can feel your heart racing. You can maybe feel your muscles burning. That doesn't necessarily mean bad, although your brain might tell you pain, bad. However, in a challenge, when we can tune into the fact that this is how we reward ourselves, this is how we grow, this is how we expand, this is how we achieve bigger and better things, you can start to really train yourself to hone in on that dopamine release so that you can go that little bit further. You can go that little bit extra, and you can achieve something more than you could have possibly imagined. So those are the basics, right? Now we're going to get into the 7 levels. So level 1, and before I start, because everyone always jumps to the end, we think of these levels as good or bad, right or wrong, better or worse. And the reality is that energy is energy. Again, that beating of the heart can describe catabolic energy, as in you're being chased down an alley by an axe murderer, or it can describe anabolic energy. You're about to step on stage to accept a massive award. Physically, it shows up very, very similarly. It is how our mind and our ego reacts to that physical sensation that then determines essentially the actions that we're going to take, the thoughts we choose, the feelings we harness, but ultimately the results that we're going to receive. Now, if we're tuning into a physical experience as if it's a life-threatening situation, that's going to change the way that we act. If we're tuning into it as if it is a life-altering in a very positive and desired way, clearly we're going to take completely different actions. So with these different energy levels, this is why it's so advantageous to think of it as a character or an archetype or even an experience where you can remember having felt this way in the past and then also tune into the results that gave you. Now, is that what you're seeking in this moment? So remember, level 1 is not better or worse than level 7. Every level has its advantages and disadvantages. It is all about what do you want? What are you trying to achieve? Because a different energy might be more appropriate. So level one gets a really bad rap. Level 1 is I lose. Level 1 feels like victim energy. Everything is happening to me. I am disempowered. I am being punished. I am in pain. I am suffering. Now, pretty obvious to say no one likes experiencing a dominant level 1 energy. But moreover, we don't generally like being around it either. It really brings that room down. And that's the thing about energy, you can feel it. Someone can walk into your space having a dominant level 1 experience, and it'll bring you down. It is a slow moving wavelength. I think of it like the bass frequency in a song. When it's loud, it will physically affect you. It will knock things off shelves. You can feel it from miles away. Now, if you don't have awareness around what's going on, or that that's your experience, or that's the frequency that you're sending out, you are going to affect everybody around you, vice versa. You will be affected by those around you. Now, that is what I talk about when I say bring awareness to your experience, because you always have a choice. So you might be thinking, what the heck are the advantages of level 1? Level 1 shows up when we feel unsafe, when we feel wounded, and when we need to take a time out. Now, when you can let someone have that experience without trying to fix it or rush them through it, they have that opportunity to self-nurture, to learn how to fulfill their own needs, and to ultimately get themselves to a space where they can start moving up this ladder. However, most of us don't like being here, and we jump immediately to level 2. Level 2 is you lose. Level 2 is where force, where anger, where resentment, where retribution, where we harness this energy essentially to get the hell out of level 1, but also to create rapid, intense change. So the advantage of level 2 is shit gets done. We get out of or away from level 1. But the disadvantage is that this is not a sustainable energy. This is where burnout shows up. This is where compliance shows up. This is where quiet quitting shows up. This is when we just say, F it, let's get it done, excuse my language. And we take hold of this particular energetic state to bully ourselves or others into action. Now, again, things get done and they get done fast, but this is not sustainable, and it will always lead to subpar results. If you are building or moving or trying to bring others along with you from a level 2 space, firstly, they're complying with you. They are not compelled by you, right? Secondly, you're not in alignment with the end result, with the action, with the emotion. It's mainly coming from here. And ultimately, this is going to lead to burnout, to failure. We tend to oscillate between levels 1 and 2. And now I could talk about these levels literally for hours when I do reports and debriefs and teamwork around the energetic leadership levels. It can be a multi-part workshop. So I'm going to move through these quickly, which is why I do hope you're taking notes. Think about how level 1 and level 2 show up for you. Think about the button that gets pushed when this level of energy shows up. I think about some of the interactions I have with my family members. I think about when I set a goal and I don't achieve it. I think about when I step on the scale some mornings, right? It can show up in all sorts of different places in your life. But the thing is if I respond in any of those situations from a dominant level 1, level 2, it's going to be a reaction instead of a choice, where I am choosing an action. And it is most likely going to elicit more level 1, level 2. Because these are catabolic energies that feed on themselves, that spiral out and that compound, okay? Talking about level 1 and level 2 is always an experience, because it's that slow moving, heavy hitting wavelength. Everybody can feel it. Level 3 is what I like to think of as the buffer zone, the launch pad. It is where we are actually at like 50% catabolic, 50% anabolic. It's where we take responsibility. If level 1 is I lose, level 2 is you lose, level 3 is I win. I start to see all the moving pieces. I realize what's my responsibility and what isn't. So level 3 shows up when we want control, when we're looking for certainty. It feels like a huge relief from level 2, but it's not a great place to get creative from, to connect with others. It's a very risk averse, very political, very status quo space. But again, it can feel like a huge relief after level 1 and 2. I often use level 3 as well to check in if I am cruising along in one of the more anabolic levels where I can get a little bit disconnected. I'm not going through any risk mitigation, especially in business. So I use level 3 as almost a check-in point. Now, I've tailored this energetic framework to business and to careers because that is what I do all day, every day. I'm completely obsessed with it. So you'll hear me using those analogies quite a bit, but again, you can use this in any way that you live your life and in any places that you experience your life. So I will relate this to money. I will relate this to time. I will relate this to marketing and communication. I will relate this to your own health and well-being. These 7 levels truly apply to all different aspects of your life. So if you're curious about that, you can find me anywhere on social media at the BZ channel. You can email me, hello@NicoleBZ.com. And I love talking about energy leadership in my Discord container, which is free to join in perpetuity. So I would love to see you in there. You can find the link on socials or simply by emailing. So with that, let's get into the anabolic levels of energy. Level 4 is you win. So level 1 is I lose, level 2 is you lose, level 3 is I win, level 4 is you win. Level 4 is a beautiful place. A lot of service workers, a lot of caretakers, a lot of charity and nonprofit workers, this is their dominant level of energy. This is compassion, this is concern, this is connection, this is purpose. People that are experiencing a dominant level 4 love to know what the bigger picture is, how they fit in, what service they are offering. The advantages of level 4 are obvious. They're very, very heart-centered. This is where we feel like we are loving and caretaking. The disadvantage of level 4 is this is also where we can overextend. Can be judgment in level 4 because level 4, a dominant level 4 energy feels like problem solving, which on the one hand can be a very noble cause. However, there's an inherent judgment that comes along with identifying something as a problem. So what we're saying is this is bad. That's ultimately the assumption that problem brings with it. And what we can try to do with level 4 is then fix it. And we're taking ownership of something that is not ours. And level 4 and level 1 do a fantastic dance with each other. We're all familiar with it. It's called codependency. We've got the fixer and we've got the needer. We've got the problem solver and we've got the broken. And so these energies can interplay with each other. And so when I talk about your energetic, the awareness you have around your energy and then the action that you take, this is what I mean. When you show up to solve a problem, that is amazing. But if you are judging that problem and suggesting this is bad and wrong, and then overextending yourself and trying to fix it, you can see where this is going to go. You will spiral down to level 1 because that wasn't your role. We're making assumptions and we're showing up in a manner that the action is not going to get the results that we want. And then we feel like a failure. Level 1 can show up absolutely like feeling as if we've failed. So you can start to see how these different levels interact with each other. Now, I'm going to take a brief moment to just say, we never want to jump more than 1 or 2 levels. That's bypassing. It feels very disingenuous. So if you're in level 1, if you're experiencing a dominant level 1, and someone shows up and goes, well, this isn't a problem, we can fix it. That feels, firstly, level 1 is going to feel like everything is happening to them, like they're being attacked or punished. And so they're going to interpret that like very blamey, shamey, victim blamey, right? Level 4 is just, it's a little bit too much of a stretch. Level 1 to level 3 is a more reasonable reach. The flip side of the equation is level 1 and 2, due to their insular nature, that you're really, really in your head. You can't see those opportunities. We're stuck in that binary. Either or, I lose, you lose. And we're not playing to win. As we start to move up this energetic ladder, you have the scope of the energy levels up to you. So level 4 can absolutely empathize with level 1. They can see the bullying, controlling, power-seeking nature of level 2. They can also witness the responsibility taking and pragmatic feeling of level 3. And they can help everyone understand what's the bigger purpose here. Why are we all connected? What are we trying to achieve? What are the values in this situation? Level 5 is a fantastic place to step into for leadership. And so again, when I talk about these different levels, I think about them like glasses that I wear. I think about them like characters or archetypes or even celebrities that are out there, or I remind myself of experiences that really bring this energy into my body. So I can remember leading a room full of people and knowing like the questions that people were going to ask and making eye contact with people and just losing my words. I'm just in flow and everyone is like clapping. That's level 5 energy. I can literally, when I tune into my 5 senses, I can bring that energy and that experience into my body. And then you can feel that as I am instructing and leading you in this moment. So level 5 is everybody wins. We want to create a scenario that allows each person, everyone on that energetic spectrum, to feel as if their needs are being met. Level 5 is the opportunist, the leader. They allow the situation to unfold. And the key component for level 5, the advantage, very obvious, everybody wins. The key component, though, is that level 5 is also willing to not play. If we cannot create a win-win-win-win-win, then we just simply take a break, we walk away. Because there's always an opportunity on the other side of a challenge. That's the difference between level 4 and level 5. Interestingly, level 5 and level 2 can look a lot the same, but they feel completely different. You have a leader in a power stance who's barking orders, but the level 2 is demanding, and they are using fear and force, whereas the level 5 is inspired and creative and co-creating with those that are around him. And in fact, they're often not telling people what to do at all. They're just doing, and you're looking at them and going, I want to follow that. That's the difference between this energetic engagement and awareness. The disadvantage is level 5 can be a little disconnected. And I know we are all familiar with that charismatic, creative, inspired leader who feels a little ungrounded, like maybe we don't have the resources or the time part dialed down. Thank you, level 3. So again, disadvantages and advantages for all of the levels. No level is better or worse, but now we can really start to see, well, level 4 is probably going to be amazing if I'm working with a group of people who are very value oriented and who want to feel important and connected. Level 5 is going to be great for the negotiating table, right? For the boardroom, for trying to get a plan over the line, for selling, for writing. However, level 6 is where I really feel like we tap into our creativity and intuition. The big difference between level 4 and 5 is judgment. The big difference between level 5 and 6 is trust. So level 5 is still trying to figure out. Level 6 is like, we got this. This isn't about everybody winning. This is a game. And we're all just playing. And in fact, when we can tap into that energy of play, anything becomes possible because anything is possible. And that's the only thing that we're investing our energy in is play and creativity and possibility. And there's this faith and knowing that what is occurring is exactly what should be occurring. There is no such thing as a problem. We are all exactly where we're meant to be. And all of those lovely platitudes that I'm sure make you eye roll when you're in a level 2 or even a level 4, because it just doesn't feel realistic. So you can see how this level of energy would be amazing for a creative brainstorming session. Maybe not amazing for your bookkeeping and accounting, right? So level 6 can be completely disconnected. Not a lot of action might occur at level 6, but it's beautiful for that intuitive, creative, co-creative, like I think of it as like meditative, nature-based energy. And lastly, level 7 is total connection. It is fearlessness. It is pure passion. It is being one with everything and everyone around us. Nothing happens at level 7. Level 7 and level 1 can look exactly the same. You can have someone sitting on a bed, staring out the window. But in level 1, someone might be in deep grief. Whereas in level 7, someone might be in total fantasy land, daydreaming about their ultimate goals and achievements and how they're going to create the life of their dreams. The energy is on the other end of the spectrum, but it is never about being better or worse. All energy shows up to fulfill our needs. So the question to ask yourself is, how can you identify with each of these 7 levels? What's the character that you can play or the experience that you can call in so that you now can choose the energy level that is going to enable you to get exactly what you want as efficiently as possible?